everyone, it's Kimber Schaefer here with Rage in the Cage OKC News, hanging out the weight room, a sponsor for Rage in the Cage 66. It's going down June 14th at the Oklahoma City Farmers Public Market, and headlining that event is none other than Ken Coulter. You will be fighting Manny Moreau for a second time as a pro. I mean, we were just talking about this, Ken. It's just all come full circle. I mean, starting from the fact that your very first fight for Rage in the Cage, and you remember the date, October 5th?
5th, 2013. 2013.
Thank God you and Matt remember these things and can remind me. And Matt and I, our Rage in the Cage media team, was born during that event.
Yes.
So here we are now, 6 years under our belts, you as a fighter, and then Matt and I as a media team. And from the beginning, you, Manny, Jose Martinez, the three of you, some of those pro fighters that got your starts back then, back when the media team first came. And so we were just talking about the circle of Manny and Jose fighting, and then you and Manny and you and Jose, and we'll start there. The 155 title. You fought for Rage in the Cage, I think, as an amateur, and I think you and I would have to go back through your record, but I think it was, what, 7 or 8 fights?
I gave you guys 9 fights. I finished 8-1. The only loss coming from Jose Martinez, and pretty much came back with the rematch, and I won that one, but it's pretty much just been a whirlwind between the 155ers in the state. It's just such a pack. It's just packed, man. Like, there's some of the best fighters around the country are right here in Oklahoma, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
For sure, for sure. And just even you fighting for that 155 belt, you were supposed to fight for it. I'll never forget that night. It was at Choctaw, the little Choctaw Event Center there. And your opponent was Brody Caruth. And he was defending the title that night, I believe. And he got sick and had to go to the emergency room. And I don't know that he's fought since. I think that he
retired after that.
I think it was a scary enough moment for him.
Yeah.
And and then that just spurred us having to obviously have another opponent for you, which ended up being Jose Martinez. And to that time you had not experienced defeat. And take us back to that moment, because I know that you had more fights than anybody for Rage in the Cage in the 155 division. So of anybody, you really deserved that title shot. And to come up short that night, I know I don't know that I'll ever forget that moment and just seeing that in your eyes. So and I even see, honestly, kind of like some emotion welling up in you a little bit.
The whole, it's kind of, you're human, you know what I mean? Like you go out, you win day in and day out, and so it becomes something that's normal. So everyone around me are like, oh, he's gonna win, he always wins. And then you go out and have a disappointing performance and the guy dominates you, and so then I lose. And so all of a sudden you get humbled to another person. Like it sits on you, and like still to this day, I mean, it's not something I'll ever forget. Defeat is not something I like to experience. When I lost against Manny the first time, I have not forgot about it. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's like I'm not worried about going out to fight him again. As far as I'm concerned, it's in my past. As fighters, we learn to just put things behind us. That's kind of all I'm looking to do. As long as I come out and show up and give my best effort and the crowd's on their feet, I just really don't care about it. So it's not something that bad, but I have never forgot about Jose beating me.
Well, and just so everybody's up to date on this, you came back, you got a second title shot, and the second time it went your way. And so and sometimes that happens, in any given moment. Fighters that are just the talent and the caliber of talent between you two fighters, and even Manny as well, any night can go any way.
One mistake is all it takes.
And then fast forward to your pro careers, and it's kind of interesting to see that Manny and you fought that first time at Cox Convention Center. I believe it was back in 2016. He got you in a first round submission. You had an injury and you had to tap.
Arm triangle, I think, is what he got me in. I'm not very sure, but I believe it was an arm triangle. And that was the first time I've ever been submitted in my career. So these two guys are just like a thorn, right? This one gave me my first loss. He's the first guy to ever finish me. So
I mean, I can remember, and I'm challenging all of you to go back through our Rage in the Cage YouTube and look at all of these fights. I can particularly remember so many times when you have been locked down and everybody in the audience thinks Ken's gonna tap Tim's gonna, you're gonna tap, and you don't. And I'm even thinking, I'm trying to think of the name. I want you guys to go watch this video, but I think his name was Jacob Bell. Is that right?
And Jacob Bell had a pretty good fight.
That fight, and I remember that night, it was at the Bricktown Hotel and Convention Center.
Yep.
And I think he got you in 2 or 3 rear naked chokes. I believe it was.
I don't know which exactly, like the exact submissions I got of, but Jacob Bell, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu is a real good guy. I mean, he knows his ground game. I will give him that. And that was just a good fight. We went the distance, and I ended up pulling it off by decision, but that was a real hard fight. I mean, but as far as that goes, I ain't tapping out again. I'm going to sleep, all right?
Yeah.
If I lose, but we ain't tapping again. I'm going to sleep.
Well, and that's exactly what I was going to say is, I just remember, Jacob Greer is obviously a great coach, and he's Jacob's coach, and I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, it's over for Ken, because I just thought, I mean, that was some deep chokes, and you didn't tap. And so it was surprising to see you tap, and I knew that there had to be something behind that.
I'm not taking that from him. He dropped good elbows on me, he had good pressure. I mean, it was a good fight. You couldn't tell who really won on the card by points up until that point. He just, it was his night. I couldn't defeat him. Not taking anything from him. No injuries. That's a part of the game. If you get hurt, you were hurt.
I was going to say, I totally, myself, I need to go back and watch that fight, because I don't remember what led up. I just remember the moment you tapped, and I don't remember like the fight up to that point, so I can't wait to watch it. What I do remember is later, I believe it was Jose and Manny fought at Kickapoo Casino, and they were fighting for that title. At that point, Manny had the title belt, and he was defending it against Jose Martinez, and that was honestly one of the best fights I have ever experienced. Up to that point, for sure, in MMA. And again, you guys go watch this, because this history is just amazing. And so I'm leading all up to this because I know without a shadow of a doubt that this fight is going to be a battle that neither one of you are going to give up. I mean, I remember that night with Jose and Manny fighting, and I just remember the kicks and I mean, they brought everything. It was the ground game, it was the stand-up. I mean, it was just the most exciting stand-up, and Jose with his kicks, and great night of fights. And I expect no less out of this fight between the two of you, because you have taken a loss from Manny, and I know how it is, not wanting that to happen again. So I'm looking forward to this. This is one of the best main events that I'm just really looking forward to in a long time, and so I'm really excited for the both of you. So I followed your career for 6 years. Take us along the way. We know your low moments were obviously your losses. What did you learn from that? And where did you go from there? How did you pick yourself up and just move forward?
It's kind of a thing going home. It's either a win or a loss, no matter what. But like if I go home, particularly after a loss, the whole way home, I'm like not necessarily just upset or sad. I'm more or less upset, like disappointed in myself. Like it wasn't my night. Someone once told me some nights you're the hammer, some nights you're the nail. And so when I'm not the hammer, apparently I am highly disappointed in myself. I train really hard, and this fight is not going to be any different. But like I said, win, lose, or draw, as long as I leave it all out there and bring it to him and don't let him bring it to me, I'm all right with it. Like, just go out there, give it my all. I know he's a great competitor. I mean, it's a blessing to be able to go out there and put on a show with him. So it's not any bad talk or bad mouthing. Like, I respect him as a fighter and anyone I've ever fought, but I also want to come out and put on a good show, and I want the people to get their money's worth. So quitting early is just not an option.
And I have come a long way, and I am always the first to say this. When I started at Rage in the Cage, I worked in television news at 2 of our local TV stations. I didn't know a lot about MMA, but I let my emotions back then. When I saw 2 fighters that I had got to know, the way that I got to know you and Jose and you and Manny, when I saw you guys fight, I mean, you guys would see me over there probably, and I would have tears in my eyes, and I'm like trying to hide, and I can't watch, and that's how it is, and I've come a long way since then, and now I've learned to respect the fight respect the fight game, and know that it's a sport, and 2 fighters that I like are gonna eventually fight, and I've come a long way since then, and so as hard as this is, because obviously I love you and I love Manny, and as hard as it is, I know that only one of you can hold that 155 title, and that title belt is now open, so it's fair game for both of you. Jose relinquished the title, if I'm not mistaken, and so that is open for both of you. So one of you guys are going to go home with that title June 14th. I mean, how important is this to you? I know that
it's a dream come true. It's very important. I never started this to just be mediocre. I started it because I wanted to be champ one day, and it's full circle. So I feel like it's my time. And the only way we'll know is to show up June 14th. But this man's ready to go to war, and so am I. So I mean, it's exciting. It's one of those things to where it's surreal. It's like, man, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna main event. I'm in my hometown. My family will be there. My kids will probably be there. So I mean, it's a big deal for me to go out here. And like I said, if I don't walk away with the belt, I don't walk away with the belt. But I will leave everything I have in that cage.
And one thing I want to mention about you as well, Ken, and you know, this is not important. You don't have to be this way to fight for Rage in the Cage, but you were Rage faithful.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, your entire amateur
All
career
the way
was.
through my career, it will be. I mean, UFC is great to fight for, Bellator is great to fight for, but when you're with an organization, you guys become more just, it's not like we're associates. You become a family, like we're close knit. Either, whether it's the fighters, Matt, he's not with us, but like you develop relationships, and it means much more fighting for a place that actually cares for their fighters versus just being a guy on the card that is going to fill in quick because I can't find somebody.
But what made you feel that way? What made you feel part of the family of Rage in the Cage? When you fought for us the first time, or was it something that developed over time?
It just developed, and just getting to know you guys and see how Mike cares for his fighters. I've never. Basically, I can take Mike's word. If there wasn't a contract put in place saying I was going to get paid, I didn't have to worry about not getting paid. And so over time, that becomes sort of like a niche to where you just get comfortable, and it's just home.
And I love hearing that, because obviously we hear that quite a bit from fighters, people that have really taken the time to get to know all of us behind the scenes, know our hearts for the sport and know our hearts for each fighter. So it's always really good to hear, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that you've always been there for Rage in the Cage, and if any of us personally need something, then you're the first one to be there. So, and I've seen along the way you doing a lot for other people. I remember at one point you were doing a campaign for blankets for homeless.
Every winter.
Every winter. Okay, well I didn't realize that. I just remember that particular winter. Us speaking about
every single winter. So I'll get y'all's blankets ready, send them my way. So we're going to try to do that again, as well as the toy drive goes through AMA as well every year during Christmas time. So between those two things, we just try to stay positive, stay in the church. I will continue to be in the church working with the youth. I mean, things like that. I do not want to be just remembered as a good fighter. So my legacy is what I'm leaving, not just for myself, but for my kids. Like Ken Jr., I want him to go back and have a name to live up and, be proud that he's named after me. So I really am not just living for myself. I want to go out and help people along the way, because I don't have a bad life. I don't have everything, but there's a lot that I have that people don't. And so being that kind of person is much more important than walking away with that belt. But I want that belt.
And another moment that I know that you really played an important part, and it was really important to me, is when I worked in News 9, obviously I covered the Oklahoma City bombing. And a family really become very close to me.
The Denny family.
The Denny family. And Jim Denny, I don't know if you realize this, he just passed away recently.
I did not know that.
He had cancer and he passed away, so not to put you on the spot here. But Claudia Denny is going strong, and their daughter Becca now had her second baby. And Brandon's doing amazing as well. But I will say that when Rage in the Cage, Mike he's got such a big heart. He always wants to do a couple of fundraisers every year. And so we did 2 fundraisers for the Oklahoma City bombing family, the Denny family. And the reason we did that is I knew this as an insider's view from working in news. We know all about the physical harm, the mental harm that was done to these families in the Oklahoma City bombing. But what we always don't know about and really isn't made, it's kind of embarrassing, is the struggle after.
Doctor bills, and, I know. I main evented both of those
you did.
charity fights.
We did such amazing. I think we were able to give them several thousand. I think it was more like 5,000-6,000 or more each event. Actually, I think it was more than that. But that family struggled so much because Jim Denny had to quit his job and stay at home with Brandon. And I appreciate you so much getting on board, because you quickly won the hearts of that family, and You know, I know Jim, last time I talked to him, he just called me out of the blue a few months ago, and I didn't know he had cancer.
I didn't know.
I didn't know until he passed away, but you know, he did ask how Ken Coulter is doing, and so to know that you left a mark on somebody's family and somebody's life, especially somebody that's now gone home to be with Jesus, so I appreciate that. I appreciate you getting along with that. Any last words, anything about you, any shout outs before we wrap it up today?
First and foremost, always to the man above, my Lord and Savior. Without him, none of this would be possible. To you guys watching at home, please show up June 14th. We're going to put on a heck of a show. I promise you will not be disappointed. Revolution Cryo, I got to thank those guys. Little Troopers Learning Center, I got to thank them. They've been there forever as well. And also Rigid Automation. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and God bless. I hope to see you guys there. And last but not least, Team Coulter and my family. Without them, I don't know why I would do this. So other than that, that's it. And you guys for your time.
Well, thank you. You do have a great family. Love your family, and you know, your daughter has been in some of our videos before, and appreciate them always supporting their daddy. Join us June 14th at the Oakland City Farmers Market for Rage in the K66. You can get tickets from Ken Coulter, any other fighter on the card, or of course at stubware.com, and we will see you then.